That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Yeah. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
Oh yeah, we check 1 2 1 2 check. Hopefully
you're
y'all
good
can
on
hear
this
us
end.
now because I just realized I had it muted. So welcome to Fishing Friday Live. Also going to be our next recorded episode because we put a poll out there, and yeah, there was a bunch of stuff that y'all want to
talk about.
So we're going to talk about that stuff.
But before
And,
we talk about that,
before we talk about that, go ahead, Trey.
so Ben is down at ICAST right now, or he's going to be
Next
down
week.
at ICAST next week. But holding in my hand right here one of the snagless, one of the original snagless flipping jigs. So if you guys are in the market for those flipping jigs, those weedless nets, those soft plastics, all that apparel line, everything that OneCast Fishing has to offer, head on over to OneCastFishing.com. Use the code, all one word, TheOneCast, and you guys will save a little bit of money at checkout, Pete.
Yeah, and then when you're done getting your jigs and your long neck hooks and all of that good stuff, you can head to CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code TheOneCast, all one word again. Grab you some of the sweet UPF gear, some hats, some gloves, some buffs. They've got new shirts for your kids, T-shirts, which are super nice, high quality shirts, so the youngins can get in on the Carolina Waters swag. So make sure you head over there and check them out, CarolinaWatersNC.com, code TheOneCast.
Yeah, and our boy Seth Ellis right now is fishing at Pickwick Lake, and I guarantee he appreciates rocking that Carolina Waters apparel because it's blazing hot in Counts, Tennessee. Also, to protect yourself, we talked about apparel in Carolina Waters. You guys need to head on over to Hobie Eyewear. Use the link that Pete puts in the description. That's going to save you guys 15% at checkout. So you're going to get a pair of really good quality sunglasses that are already have great prices on them. You're going to get them for 15% off. They got the floating frame collection. They got all the other lifestyle glasses. They do have prescription glasses if you're in the market for that. My kids wear them for softball and different sports. We wear them on the water. They protect your eyes. They protect you from those harmful UV rays. Honestly, I was wearing them on the drive home today from work in that torrential downpour. I was wearing my Sight Masters. It really opened the road back up so I could go 55 miles an hour. Wasn't going a mile over the speed limit. So head on over to Hobie Eyewear. Use our link. Save some money.
Yeah, posted it in the chat, so make sure you check that out. Hopefully, it looks like maybe something coming at ICAST. Can't talk about it, but keep your eyes out down there. A bunch of cool stuff coming, some new baits. I'm super excited about that new missile bait, that little mini D-bomb. That's going to be a little drop shot killer, that thing.
Yeah.
There's some other really cool baits coming.
I'm going to put it on the back of a micro jig.
That too. It's going to be a killer. In my opinion, the D-bomb's the best creature bait out there, and to have that little mini version is going to be something on a Ned rig. Like, just so many options. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we'll have an episode after ICAST, during ICAST sometime. Like we said, Ben's going to hopefully get down there, it sounds like, for a couple days. We'll get some inside scoop, and then we'll have an episode and talk about all the new stuff coming to everybody in the next year in the fishing world. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize as we get into this. We do have some storms and stuff in the area, so as you know, internet is not always the best when it's storming, so we might get a little laggy from time to time, but bear with us. We're going to talk some questions that were asked. So we were asked about live well fish care in the summer. We're going to talk about that. We were asked about how we deal with pleasure boaters and the boat traffic that you get on our lakes this time of year. And what else was on there? Ramp etiquette. We're going to talk about it again. We've talked about it before, but it's something we definitely want to talk about again. If you have not listened to the episode that dropped yesterday, you need to go to whatever platform it is that you like to listen to recorded podcast media on. You need to listen to that one. Our friend Mike Johns with FX3 joined us to talk about preventing veteran suicide and bringing an end to that epidemic that's plaguing the veteran community and active duty. It's not just veterans. So make sure you go check that out. And if you're able to help, whatever you can do, whether it's time, money, whatever it is, our vets need all the help we can get. So we work with a bunch of organizations, and that's just one of them. So having Mike come on and tell his story was it was a little tough, hearing how close he was to the bad ending and what pulled him out of it. And it was just a stranger reaching out really and offering to take him fishing, and it sparked a whole journey for him. So no more 22 a day. Like David said, we got to do everything we can to try to stop that. And it's not just veterans, it's police, fire, military.
It's anybody.
It's men in particular, men's mental health. We're not very good about talking about issues and making sure we taken care of. We all just kind of shoulder it, and we're all human. You got to get that stuff out. So reach out, check that episode out if you haven't yet. But a bunch of tournaments going on. Looks like Patrick Walters about to hoist another NPFL trophy down there on Pickwick. The summertime ledge fishing. That house is dominating.
Yes.
Good derby for Seth as well. He's been consistent throughout. So Seth Ellis, who was on with us a little while back, has had a good derby. Josh Hooks is another local NC guy, was having a good tournament. So definitely grindy. Patrick figured something special out because he's been right around 20 a day.
Yeah.
So whatever it was, he figured out. I haven't had a chance to watch just because of work, and normally I would get to watch Championship Saturday, but they shifted a little bit, so I didn't get to check it out. So we'll keep an eye on the weigh-in that's going on right now and try to keep you all updated. But and then what's going on, Tim? Then and I saw Pete was up there too. The other Pete. Pete Wall. I'm not even gonna try Pete W. Wallenwaber.
Oh, Pete Dubs.
Pete Dubs.
Pete Dubs.
Appreciate you jumping on as well. Also, we got the Open on St. Clair, which has been just at smallmouth, but then Ish Monroe went out and cracked the top 5 with all largemouth on a frog. And he said he had largemouth on bed, so he got to fish at least day 1 how he wanted to. I didn't look and see how it went today. Was I close, Pete? Just let me know. I threw it out there, but I don't know if I was close or not. So watching him, I didn't watch him, but seeing that he whacked him on a frog, and people don't realize how good of a largemouth fishery St. Clair is as well. Probably not going to win a multi-day derby out there, but you get 100% go out there and win a one-day derby on greenfish. I mean, we fished it a lot, and it's nothing to catch 4-pound largemouth and 4-pound smallmouth on back-to-back casts when the right time of year. So cool there. And then the Toyota going on up on Champlain, right?
Yep. Toyota Series on Lake Champlain up there on the launch out of the New York side. Obviously, Vermont cuts right through the middle of that. So, and then you can access Canadian waters too. But anyways, for the Toyota Series, they're limited to New York and Vermont water. I don't know if guys are making that run all the way down to Ticonderoga, but I know that it's absolutely astonishing. And just to kind of sum it all up, like 3 very different fisheries. Mm-hmm. And we talk about like the dog days of summer and like that grindy, just brutal fishing that the summer can offer sometimes, but it's relative to where you're at, because the guys up on Champlain and the guys on St. Clair are absolutely just destroying the fish. I mean, Champlain, guys with 19 pounds. Talked to Destin DeMarion yesterday. He had 19, I think like 19-15 the first day, and that put him in like the top 50. You know what I mean? And so just looking at the weights from St. Clair and Champlain, they're absolutely amazing. And it's a testament to how healthy those fisheries are. And the same thing with Pickwick. Like Pickwick, it might be grimy. The NPFL did something a little different. We talked about it before, but there's actually really good bags coming out of Pickwick right now. Those who found them out, you know what I mean? So,
you've got a local that's right around 20 pounds a day, and then Patrick Walters, who's just out of this world the last couple of years, just riding that high of, I mean, he's won between the NPFL and the elites like 2 of the last 4 tournaments. Like that's pretty dang impressive. So he found something special with 20 plus a day. It doesn't fall off from there. There's still guys that are averaging like 15, 16 pounds a day that are up there. So it's been a grindy tournament, but the ones they have been catching have been good ones. Corbishley, I think yesterday, Mike Corbishley, a friend of the show and our personal friend, yesterday, I think he said he only had 6 bites all day, but he had 16 pounds, almost 16 pounds.
Yeah.
So when you get 6 bites all day and have 16 pounds, you had 6 of the right bites.
That's right. Yeah.
And so that's just kind of a testament to how that's fishing. And then, yeah, the Toyota, I think it was B-Lat I saw made a post last night on Facebook that was like, I'm old enough to remember when 17 pounds was a good bag on Champlain.
Yeah.
And now they're going out 24 pounds of smallies yesterday. I'm sure it was 20 plus today. I didn't check it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And it's not just forward facing. That obviously is unlocked the ability to find some of those bigger smallmouth offshore, but those lakes have always been extremely consistent, and they've continued to get healthier because of conservation efforts and things like that. So
both of those lakes offer, when we talk about Champlain and St. Clair, you already talked about St. Clair, but Champlain offers really good largemouth as well. There's been, big largemouth weight in there. Guys are coming in with mixed bags of green fish and brown fish, but when you talk to a lot of anglers across the country, like Champlain is always on their like top 5. I've never been there personally, but it definitely looks beautiful. And it's really cool to see how different the 3 major tournaments that are going on right now, how different they're catching them. People are still scoping them and stuff, but guys are out there whipping a frog around, they're drop shotting, they're throwing moving baits, spy baits, top water, stuff like that. So it's really neat to see in the middle of, what is it, July now, July, them catching them so different. And, the MPFL event, if you guys weren't aware, they did their launch at 10:30 in the morning Central Standard Time. And they did that because the Tennessee Valley Authority, the TVA, they weren't pulling water until a certain portion of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so they wanted to make it better for the anglers on the fish catching side, but B, on the entertainment side. And with fixed TV, they wanted to make sure that, all of us that were watching, if you're watching, are seeing some fish catches and stuff. So Pete's going through the Lake Champlain.
It's like
the Lake Champlain weights right now.
You needed 40 pounds to even get in the almost 40 pounds. 39.5 was 30th place.
Right.
That's wild.
It's
first right now sitting with 43 pounds. So 22 day one, 21 today, 42 in second, 42 and ounces. It's a heck of a derby.
Yep.
So, and then I'm going to look up bass while you keep talking.
Yeah. So, but it kind of ties into some of the questions we got. First, and we did an episode on this before, like, deep summer fishing and stuff like that. When we talk,
God, Trevor McKinney, if another McKinney makes the Elite Series, or the old head's going to explode. Anyway, 27-12 yesterday on 5 fish, 22 today. Jay Shakirit's up there with 50. The top 3 have 50 pounds in 2 days. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're just smashing them up there too. But go ahead.
But I was saying, like, we talked, like, I think one of the questions on the community page was, summertime fishing and stuff. And we've talked about that before, but you have to understand, like, we're in the Piedmont region of North Carolina. What we talk about here on the hydration side, the nutrition side, fish management side, a lot of it stays the same, but the fishing is so different. Like, just the way you're catching fish is so different, because what we do here on our local lakes, like, you don't need to do that when you go up to St. Clair or Champlain. You know what I mean? Like, you got to fish a completely different style of fishing.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's important to note.
Yeah. We'll get into some of your comments, or into some of those questions, but let's look at, so Pete, are you going to fish with the Carolina Bastards this year? I don't know, Jeff. Like, we're in the process of closing on a home right now. It's super busy. I've got my nephew coming down next weekend. We're going to go to the river for a fun trip. Just depends on how my schedule looks, whether I'll be able to or not. Wool in Weber. All right, Pete, I got you. I will definitely not remember that.
See how he broke it?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. I like
that too.
Yeah.
Jeff said road trip. I'm guessing he wants to know if you want to go to Champlain or St. Clair.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, Jeff, when I retire next year, I have a ton of bucket list lakes that I want to go to. And I want to go to them to fun fish. I don't really care to jump in any of the bigger tournament series, at least next year. I got to figure out and redefine myself.
Trey and I will definitely be making a St. Clair run next year. We'll let folks know when we're going, and maybe we can get a big group to go. I fished it every year for the first 30 years of my life, pretty much. And I miss it. St. Clair is so much fun early June.
Yeah. I've never
go out
been
there and absolutely crush everything on a spinner bait, and it doesn't get any better. Do you think it's fair to fish one trail that fishes a body of water within the off limits time for another trail? I don't have an issue with it as long as the tournament trails agree to it. I mean, and I know specifically you're talking about John Cox. I don't have any issue there with them doing that. Like I said, as long as it's okay with the organization, if they take it to an angler vote, whatever, then I don't have a problem. I mean, lakes change so quick that a week or two between events, a lot changes. So Ben jumped on with us.
Ben just jumped on. We haven't had our fun.
Do you guys think viewership is close between bass and MLF? And do you have a tournament style preference? It's not close. Bass continues to break records every week on viewership online and on FS1. And MLF continues to lose viewership every week. I prefer 5 fish. I like the allure of a weigh-in. I like the fact that Patrick Walters can sandbag and say he has 13 pounds and then weigh 26. I think it brings a different level of excitement. What I did like about the catch weigh release was when they did the cup style events where they didn't know what lake they were going to. They threw them out there. They went out there and it was catch as many legal bass as you could in an 8-hour tournament day. I liked that. I think over the course of several days, it's just, to me, it's not as exciting to watch. It kind of takes some of that unknown out of it. You know exactly what everybody has. So for me as a viewer, it's not as exciting. And also people try to say in the name of conservation, it's better, but a percentage of every fish caught, whether released right away or ran around to a weigh-in, dies. So the tournament mortality rate is pretty close to the same as catch and release, surprisingly, especially in warmer water.
Let's ask. So let's go around the horn because I have my opinions on that too. Ben, welcome to the show, and we know you're up now. What's up, dude? I'm surprised we even have connectivity with the storms that are rolling through here. But what is your thoughts on BASS and MLF and your tournament style preference?
So I like the 5 fish. Part of that is because I think there's a different strategy and game involved trying to find the biggest fish, because the biggest fish, there's just less of them. Just naturally, they're older, they're bigger, there's just less of them. So like in a 5 fish tournament, the goal is to go catch the 5 biggest ones you can find. And so you're trying to find the rarest fish in the sense that you can find. Whereas with every fish counts. I mean, you're just trying to catch as many as you can for the weight. And look, there's different ways to judge who is the best angler on a body of water for a certain amount of time. But because of the tradition and all, and trying to find I like catching big fish, so I want to go catch 5 big fish.
No, I totally get that. So mine is so first of all, I don't, unless it's like thunderstorming, I'm not gonna sit myself inside and watch fishing unless I'm at work slacking off or whatever. But if I was gonna watch them, I like them both, and the reason I like them both is kind of what Ben said. I like them both because it tests different ways of fishing. Your fish management over a 3 to 4 day period is different. The way that you break down a body of water is different, relatively different. And just so I like it from the entertainment side. I agree with Pete. When they had the Cup Series event and they had coverage the entire time with Major League Fishing, I absolutely loved that. I thought that was a great format. I wish they wouldn't have changed. I think that was really their identity as an organization. But unfortunately, they made some different business decisions. And then on the BASS side, you're absolutely right. Like they're going hunting. They're hunting for giants. And I like seeing that too. So, Tim, to answer your question, I think all of us, we have a different opinion on the matter, but you got all 3 of them.
Yeah, we all like bass better, basically. No, what's a good baitcast reel that won't break the bank? Parker Smith asked. Abu Garcia Black Max. I don't think you're going to beat that one. Quite
So
honestly,
yeah, Parker, I will say that. Go ahead, Ben.
No, I was going to say Black Max is a great. I don't know what they are now, but they used to be like $50-$60.
I think they think they're in like the $40 to $50 range right now.
And so I've never owned one, but my neighbor has one, and so I've used it a couple times, and I've been pretty impressed for the price. So that's what I tell people on that end. And like the $100, $99 one, the Lose LFS, I got one for like 10 years ago. It's still my top water reel. So for $100, those are usually the two ones I tell people. And then once you start getting to like that 130 to 160 range,
then the other reel, there's a lot of good ones out there.
So Parker, Pete can attest to this. I have, minus the one reel that I got for Christmas from Pete and Chelsea, I have exclusively used Abu Garcia on all my casting rods. I still use my Black Max reels to throw my top water on 30-pound braid, my pop R's, my walking baits, things like that. I can bomb that thing a mile. That is a reel that's not going to break the bank, but that is absolutely a reel that you need to take out in your front yard if you're not used to throwing a bait caster, and just throw it around with some cheap line on it. That's just my opinion.
Yep. Agreed. It's in that $40 range. They just hold up extremely well, and you can beat on them. I still have one that's like in a shelf somewhere just in case I need a reel, like a backup to a backup, but I know it'll work if I need it.
It's
all right,
like
what's next?
The price point for, I was going to say the price point for that Black Max. When I first really got into fishing, decade, 12, 13 years ago, I picked up a couple of the Bass Pro $40 ones.
And like those ones too. Yep.
No, they sucked. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, do they suck?
I don't know. The $40 ones I had were absolutely trash.
I will say I'm not a fan of buying those like really cheap like Shakespeare ones, but that's just because they,
I was getting into it. I didn't really know anything. So, I got a couple of those, and I went for like an $80 Extreme. That one was great. I used it for years.
Yeah.
But those ones were not good. So, like, I didn't have, again, I've never owned a Black Max, but I played around with them about a year and a half ago whenever we got them. But I was really impressed for, like, I was not expecting it to perform as well as it did. So
we're about to talk about that, Jeff. But first, I got to say, Pete, I appreciate you not holding that against me. Dwayne, what's going on, man? We'll see you tomorrow. Anybody in the Raleigh area, Fuquay Varina in particular, there's a couple things going on. One, take warrior fishing. We got a poker run going on. So if you like to ride a motorcycle, come check us out. You can still sign up. Information's on the site, warriorfishing.org. And then we have a barbecue sale going at the Fuquay Varina VFW. So come over, get you a plate of barbecue. If you don't like barbecue, we're also going to have hot dogs. So I don't remember the exact prices. If you're still on, Dwayne, you can throw it up there. I know I'm a terrible board member because I forget it, but you'll either get a plate of barbecue with sides and a drink, or 2 hot dogs with chips and a drink. All that money goes to Take Warrior Fishing and helps us to continue to get our veterans out on the water and to experience retail. Yeah, outdoor therapy. I need some retail therapy. Apparently, I need to go.
No, you
need to go to Bass Pro.
You just bought a house.
What's up, Mikey Nadeau? Leaving that. So it's $10 a plate, and like I said, that money is going to Take a Warrior Fishing, so we can get warriors out on the water. Mikey in the house. Jeff. So live well management. We're going to talk specifically. Chelsea said no retail therapy. So yeah, I don't know why that came to my mind. The only thing I'm going to be buying in the next month is shade or blinds, and not blinds, but whatever those things are called that pull things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't even know.
Shade,
he
whatever.
He doesn't even know
blinds,
house nomenclature
curtains,
yet.
Yeah.
Curtains, that's the word I was looking for.
He's got a full day planned out. He's going to go.
I don't know if there'll be time. He's
going to go to the Home Depot.
But yeah, so live well management. I will specifically talk about how I do it in the summer in the heat. 90-degree water. I know you gotta, and I totally forgot. I mentally texted you back, Jeff, and I didn't physically text you back, so I'll hit you up. Well, good luck in your tourney tomorrow, Pete. Hopefully you do well.
Pete Dubs.
Pete Dubs. So yeah, Curtains, Christine knew. So anyway, live well management, hot water, 90-degree days. For me, and a lot of people might not agree with the way that I do things, because I know everybody likes to do ice and stuff. I've seen people ice water and kill more fish than it helps. I just constantly recirculate fresh water into my live wells. I keep it on recirc. I keep it on timed all day. And I just let it roll. Those fish are living in that 90, 80 degree, 85, 91 degree water already. They're above the thermocline. It's not that much cooler down there where they are. And a lot of folks will put a big bag of ice in and throw in their live well. They'll throw that fish in there and they shock them and they end up dying. It's a lot of stress on a fish when it goes from 90-degree water to 36-degree water or whatever it might be in your live well. That's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but you're talking maybe 50s. That 40-degree temperature swing is tough. So for me, I just like to recirculate the water. They're already living in it, and I got that from some elite guys that I know. That's what they do. They're not big on ice, So that's just me personally. In the dog days of summer, I also fizz my fish. I'll check them as soon as I get them in. If you start to see signs of barotrauma, then you want to fizz them. Trey knew where I was going next, so he went out and grabbed the fizz kit. I'll put a link up eventually, but right there you can see that. Barb's Best fizz kit. Message Barb Elliott on Facebook and tell her you want a fizz kit. It's a couple bucks. She sends it to you right there. It's got really, really good pictures with how to fizz different species. So smallmouth, largemouth, spot, or just like a largemouth, where to put the needle, how to put the needle. It's super easy to fizz a fish. The first couple times you're going to be nervous, but once you get it, it'll make a huge difference. And to me, that's more important than ice, G-juice, recirculation, any of that. Where I do use G-juice and I do use recirculate is pre-spawn and especially post-spawn because those fish are struggling post-spawn. We saw it at Falls this year, a lot of dead fish. It's all about oxygen. So I have oxygenators in my live well, or one oxygenator in my live well, which makes a big difference. I will be putting the fish lung in my boat eventually. House is a little bit more important, but if you don't know about the fish lung, look that technology up. But that's me. I'm going to yield to you guys for what you like to do in the summer.
Yeah.
And remember, nobody's right or wrong. The important thing is you're taking care of your fish. I am going to answer Mikey's question first. Best way to fizz a bass, mouth or side, the mouth does nothing. Bunch of studies out there. The mouth doesn't work. It'll temporarily relieve the swim bladder, but it doesn't actually do what you need to do whenever you're fizzing a fish. It's got to be in the side. So to effectively fizz a fish, got to go through the side. And then Jeff says he recirculates all day with G-juice. So Trey or Ben, whoever wants to go next.
Ben, go for it and I'll finish.
Okay. So in my Triton, unlike Pete, unfortunately, I don't have a not a recirculator, an oxygenator. Yeah. So all I have is the pump in and then the recirc. So what I usually do in the heat of the summer, if I'm fishing a long tournament, I'll stop by on the ramp. I do use ice. Now the thought behind using ice, you would preferably do it at home and where you don't have chlorine or any other stuff in it. You can just use nice clean water. But the thought behind the ice is that it lowers the temperature and colder water holds more dissolved oxygen. So you're getting more, the oxygen is not being depleted as fast for the fish. With that said, usually what I do then is I put that ice in there, maybe a bag and a half. The rest of the bag I'll put in the cooler, dump the boat in. I fill that thing halfway up, the live well halfway up. I'll dump a cap full of G-juice in there. And then whenever I catch my first fish, I'll fill the rest of the live well up. But usually by the time, because I get to the ramp super early, by the time most of the ice is already melted. So the water is probably more like 60 degrees when that first fish goes in. So it's not quite as bad. Don't lay your fish on top of a thing of ice and then put the water in, have some water in there. But so that's what I do. The one thing I will add, before I had lithium batteries and I had all the technology on there, right? It drains your batteries a lot. A cheap solution is that go down if you're having issues with fish or you're worried about fish care, go down to Walmart, pick up the $10, or I don't know if it's with inflation now, the $20 Mr. Bubbles and some double D batteries. And if you just lay that thing on your back deck, or you can even rig and strap it in there, it pushes water in there all day. And heck, I used to run just the Mr. Bubbles and my old Triton aluminum live well, and usually that would do enough to keep them oxygenated. So that's an easy, cheap solution if your batteries or you don't have some of the other technology. So go ahead, Trey.
Yeah, so similar to Ben, I mean, I try to catch all my fish before 6:45, unlike these guys. So they're pretty good for the rest of them. No, I'm just kidding. So I like to use ice in the summertime too. I don't have an oxygenator in the boat. If we're fishing somewhere local, the best thing that I've found is I will take jugs of water in like milk jugs and freeze them in the freezer overnight. And you can just not dump it, but like set it in your live well in the morning time and run your live well. And that's if I'm local, right? You don't have that luxury when you're on the road or whatever. But that helps keep that, any sort of chemicals or anything out of your water. Hopefully we don't have that in our drinking water, but I'm sure we do. And do the same thing, fill that thing halfway up and cool it down. G-Juice is always going to be a staple. The fizz kits are very important. And for fizzing fish, and Mikey just asked about like in the side, like if hopefully nobody has any experience with like chest trauma, right? But Pete was a paramedic and Ben was in the Army and I'm in the Army. Like if anybody's ever seen anyone take blunt force trauma to the chest, what ends up happening is that chest cavity fills up with air and it puts pressure on your lungs and then you can't breathe anymore. It's the same concept with a fish getting barrel trauma. When they're stressed out, they get pressure, so much pressure built up that you have to relieve that pressure.
Swim bladder.
Yep. And so going through the side that, like that is the number one way to really relieve that pressure. You're not going to save all the fish, by the way, with fizzing them, right? I lost a fish this year. I fizzed it. Sometimes you have to fizz a fish more than once because they get so stressed out. And you can notice that on their fins. Their fins will start turning red. Their bottoms will start turning red, all that stuff. And that's just stress related. But going back to live well management, that's how I do it. I run that recirc all day long. Ice. I think we lost 2 fish this entire season.
One, I have no idea why it died.
One, we have no idea. One, I know exactly why it died. Deep, yeah. That was hooked in the tongue. And that's another thing too. Like you get a lot of people that ask about like, how do you save fish? Do you dump bubbly Mountain Dew and stuff like that to cauterize like the wound and stuff like that? I don't know if that stuff works.
I don't do the Mountain Dew, but there's a lot of people that swear by it.
Yeah,
so I might throw a bottle in there next.
I've seen people dump Rejuvenate powder down their mouth. I've seen people dump G-Juice down their mouth. Carbonated waters and sodas and stuff. I don't know if that really works. Does it stop them bleeding? Yeah, that definitely stops the bleeding for some odd reason. But anyways, going back to live well management, that's how I do it. Fin clips can help you with your fish.
They don't do anything for the fish
to keep them upright in the live well, but you have to fizz them.
All a fin clip does is keep it alive till you take the fin clip off and then you release it and it dies. So fin clips are great if you just want to weigh the fish in and don't care if it lives after weigh in. I
know a lot of guys use fin clips when they're smallmouth fishing too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, anyways, that's my 2 cents on it.
Pete Dubs, Pete W. I'll be donating whoever wins. Hey man, don't worry about going out there and winning, but you might go out there and win, but just go out there and have fun and learn, man. Your first derb in the kayak, just go out there and have some fun, man. Catch some fish and if it's your time, it's going to be your time, dude. Like
that's a great opportunity to identify if that's a culture you want to be a part of too, Pete. Like we don't know what you're fishing, but every single club, every single organization has their own culture. And I found out like there were certain cultures that I didn't want to be a part of, so I made a change.
What's up, fellas? Finally made it back for a live. Missed you all out here working on the Triton. What's going on, Jonathan? Glad to have you back, man. I understand it was fishing season. Now it's hot and we can take some time off. Tim, I think Jeff said I think oxygenator is best. Yeah, if you can add more oxygen, it's always going to be better. What is something your tournament bass have puked up and left in your live well that might surprise us? I've never had them puke anything up, but I just pulled a hook out of one's butthole this year that Trey and I caught in the tournament.
You've never had like spit up shad in your live well?
Yeah, but not anything that would surprise you.
Yeah,
not like a snake carcass or anything.
Yeah.
I've heard of people finding turtles, like snakes.
Yeah. Who do we ask that question to on the show?
I don't remember.
They were I think it might have been Corbishley or maybe, I don't know who it was, but yeah, I haven't had anything crazy pop up in my live. It might have been Jesse, yeah. But shad and crawdads, like that's the only two things, and I think a couple brim once in a while.
Yeah,
But nothing,
never had
nothing,
anything crazy.
not like a license plate or something.
Yeah, I don't know. You ever have anything crazy, Ben?
No, not spit up. I mean, I've pulled hooks or worms and sinkers out of their butthole before, and stuff. But
yeah. What's up, Hal? What do you guys think the
Hampshire.
rain will do for fishing? Well, that's not going to do much. I mean, it'll drop the water temperature for a day, but it's going to be 97 again on Monday, so it's going to shoot right back up. Maybe we'll get enough rain that it'll put it up into the bushes at Jordan. You'll be able to go flip for a couple of days. That might happen.
You still can go, Hal, you know better. You still can go. You still can go flip for a
Not
couple
when it's
of days.
2 foot low.
Oh yeah, you can still catch some dirt shallow.
Well, yeah. How deep? Yeah, depth has nothing to do with the need to fish a fish, David. You just got to pay attention. I've seen barotrauma and fish I've caught in inches of water. It has to do with stress. It has to do with swim bladder. There's a lot of things that go into it. So you just got to pay attention to the fish, and if they start showing signs, go ahead and fizz them.
Yeah. So we had to fizz a fish, David, last year. That was literally in 1.5 foot of water. It was a 7.5 pounder. It was in February. I caught it on a spinnerbait, and that fish just ended up getting so stressed out and blew up in the live well. And luckily, my fishing partner last year was a special operations medic, so he knew exactly how to fizz that fish like very, very quickly. But yeah, it can happen. Is it more likely to happen out of deeper water? Absolutely, it's more likely to happen, but it can happen in inches of water.
What are your thoughts on pool noodles in the live well? I keep pool noodles in my live well. I've had fish get beat to death, banging their head, especially if you're running a lot. It also helps with insulation because you do lose a lot of heat. Those live well lids get hot. That's why they make different vents and stuff.
Yeah.
To help with air exchange. That's also for the nitrogen that'll build up in there from the fish breathing. But I am definitely a fan of pool noodles just to help keep those fish from getting beat up too bad.
You bring up a good point, Ben. Do you use poodles?
You put poodles in your live well?
Do you put pool noodles in your live well?
I mean, I have. I don't all the time, but yeah.
Yeah. So if you run an aluminum boat specifically, like I do, Pete's live wells aren't aluminum live well lids, though, are they?
Yeah, my live well lids are aluminum.
Are they aluminum? So aluminum.
I used to a lot more in the.
Yeah. So aluminum boat live well lids, like on my boat that doesn't have carpet, that has vinyl, that stuff gets super hot. And so that heat will radiate right down into that water. Pete already brought it up. It helps with keeping that temperature a little bit cooler. The only thing I will say, and I noticed it in my boat this year, and I think I can't remember what angler it was on the Elites last year.
He had fish die because of it.
Yeah, his filter was so clogged up in his live well from pool noodle shavings getting caught up that he lost like a whole bunch of smallmouth. So that is one thing I will say. If you're running a bunch of styrofoam like it is in your live well, pay attention to your screen at the bottom. Skeeter came out with their own version. It's like a Skeeter specific live well insert.
There's a bunch of people making mats and stuff now. Yeah. You can order that are cut the size and all of that. Yep. So, but yeah, I prefer to have those in there. I had a snake in my live well. Jeff said my dad said I killed a bunch of fish today. Can't wait for the fish fry. Those were walleye. Don't go trying to get people worked up. I saw a baby duck and a chipmunk. Yep, wow. I've never seen that. Pete pointed out that Hal Abshire is the best mustache in fishing. I agree. Shaw Gregsby does not. So.
Oh no, you're gonna have to put Shaw and Hal next to each other.
They make live well cooling systems now. Yep, they do refrigeration systems. VT2 lets the heat and bad gases out of the live wells. Noodles also help to keep them in the live well. Clean your live wells up. Yep, Hal, you're absolutely right. You've got to descale your live wells. I do it once a year usually. Sometimes twice. It just depends on how many tournaments I'm fishing and how many fish I'm putting in there. Chelsea, doesn't Hal have something on top of his lids? Yep, those are the V2 vents that he's talking about. VT2 vents. You do have to drill a big old hole in them, but it does help with getting rid of that nitrogen and then also keeping that hot air out of there.
That nitrogen that Pete's talking about is in like if you open your live well up after you're running your recirc or whatever, you'll see those giant big bubbles
yep.
that are coming out. They're actually really nasty looking. That's the nitrogen buildup.
That usually means you didn't open your live well enough.
Yep.
it's always good. People will say keep it closed, but you've got to release those gases if you don't have vents. You've got to do it. Typically, I do it after every run. I'll just open it up, take a look, close it,
Pop the bubbles.
both sides. Make sure those bubbles aren't built up in there, and then you're good to go. Jeff said I flush and clean my live well after every tournament. Yeah. I've got, if anybody wants to know a really good way and the best way to descale, in my opinion, descale your live well, go to my TikTok. I've got an old video on there where I give the recipe and exactly how to do it. And I've never had an issue. Like I said, I descale once a year. And he just keeps everything clean.
He has to, because all of his trash when we're fun fishing goes in his live well. All those energy drinks.
Yeah, my live well is trash can. I opened it up the other day and we did not empty it after our last 3-day trip. And there's like sandwich wrappers in there. I was like, God, thank God there's no rotten food in there.
I wonder if wonder if Red Bull gives those bass wings.
Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna find out. They must like Celsius. Jonathan said Seth Fighter has the best stash. He's got a good one too. He does have a good one, but I mean, we could have a contest for sure on the best stash. So another question. Let's go over a few more summertime questions.
Okay.
How do we deal with a lake lice, aka wake boaters, and I call them lake lice. You all have just as much right to be out there as we do, sort of.
45.
How do you deal with them? So you just deal with them, man. Like there's not anything you can do about it. For me, if I'm fun fishing, I get to the ramp at 5:15. Usually it's light enough I can fish and be safe to run at 5:30, and I fish till about 10:30 at the latest.
Maybe.
And then I get off the water. And I let them do their thing in the afternoon and evening. If it's a derby and you got to deal with them, you do what you do. It's just one of those things you got to fight. There's really not much we can do to control it. It's not worth arguing with them. They don't know better most of the time when they're running across points and you're trying to fish them and stuff. They just don't know. It's an education thing. If we could all sit down in a room and have a talk and we could tell them why we get mad when they do stuff like that, some of them probably wouldn't do it. But it's really just a lack of understanding. They see a boat out there with a guy standing on the front of it that's in the middle of the lake, and they don't know that we're fishing a rock pile that's coming off that point 100 feet off the shore. Like they just don't know. So, we all get mad. I've yelled at them, thrown my hands up, but at the end of the day, it's just a lack of education and understanding on what we do. Just like we don't understand what they do. I might go out on a wake boat and love it, like riding around for a day, drinking cold beer, watching people flip around in the air. I'm not getting on a wakeboard, but I tried that with no wakeboard and it wasn't fun for me. So I don't want to do it with a rope and a wakeboard. Thanks, Mike Iaconelli. But yeah, so that's really all you can do, right? The one area we can help, and Trey, Ben, I'll give you a chance to talk, is at the ramp. Throw musky baits at them. My dad said, yeah. I mean, I might have seen that happen a few times on Lake St. Clair. The one place we can help and we can educate and have a conversation is at the ramp. And it's not just wake boaters. What's going on, Nick? Nick Kincaid. Hope you had a good month-long vacation you've been on. Just kidding. I know it was only like the last 2 weeks, but yeah. Glad you're back at the ramp, right? Like, and it's not just the pleasure boaters. I've seen just as many dudes with their bass boats back down the ramp, get out, and start getting their boat ready to put in the water, right? Don't do that. Shut your headlights off. Have your boat ready to dump in when you back down the ramp. And if you're by yourself, don't take it off the trailer at the end of the trailer. Put your power poles down or tie it off and pull out so it's sitting in the middle of the ramp and the ramp's unusable. Take it to the end of the dock. If there's somewhere you can beach your boat, your precious bass boat's not going to get destroyed because you pull it up on the sand next to the ramp and put your power poles down. Just try to get out of the way. If there's a courtesy dock, use the courtesy dock. That's really where we could have an impact. And you see a lot of those folks that don't know. So they come with their family and their pontoon boat. They back down to the water's edge. Next thing you know, the kids are coming out. They're putting on the life vest. They're putting the cooler in there. They're putting their canopy up. They're doing all of this stuff that they should have done, up in the area that's usually at every ramp where you have to get ready. Use that when you see somebody doing something wrong, instead of yelling and screaming and telling them they're worthless or whatever it is that happens. Just have a conversation with them. Say, hey, like, here's what we can do to make this more effective, right? Like, you're messing things up. What are your thoughts, Trey and Ben?
Ben, what you got?
Well, I was going to tell Christine, it doesn't really matter in their bodies of water. If a boat floats away, you can walk to them across the lake.
That's
Well,
Yeah, that's
good, I
true.
mean.
No docks in your
You're
mud
right
puddles. Yeah, it's like 2 foot deep.
It'll be all right. Going back to wake boats and all that, like, yeah, it's frustrating out there on the water, but I try not to get too upset at it, unless it doesn't matter if it's a wake boat, it could be a pontoon, it could be another bass fisherman. It's when they do something that they come way too close, something dangerous, right? Something that, the things we've all talked about, right? That no one should really be doing.
Yeah.
And it is an education thing. They're probably unaware, a lot of them. But like, it's one of those things, like, you're out there with all the pleasure boaters. Yeah, you're trying to fish a point. There's waves and you're rocking around. That's just part of it. Now, when someone comes 5 feet from you, right. It's all situational, I guess.
Yeah. I don't, there's no secret recipe for dealing with pleasure boaters in the summertime. I actually enjoy having them out there on certain times in the summer because you can use them to your advantage. Especially if you're fishing offshore schools that are, are inactive. Sometimes those pleasure boats will get schools of fish fired up. We do it ourselves. We'll run our boats in a 360 a couple times to fire a school up and get those shad blasted around, and then the fish start feeding and you can generate a few more bites that way. I don't see a lot of guys and gals using them anymore. But now that everyone is fishing out, a lot of people are fishing out in the middle of the lake because of technology and stuff like that. I still carry marker buoys in my boat. So if you're a marker buoy person, they're usually big orange, like dumbbell looking things, or, square. And I have them in the boat. Throw a marker buoy out there. Most likely the pleasure boater's not going to see it because they don't pay attention that well, but something orange floating in the water that you're floating at, it could be maybe small percentage of a deterrent. I still like to use marker buoys because I've seen the effects of what forward-facing sonar has done to fish. So I'll still toss a marker buoy out there. And so maybe if you're fishing that point and you want to create some separation between pleasure boaters and the point you're fishing, throw something orange out there in the middle of the water that'll stay there, and they may have to divert.
At least if they don't pay attention, you can watch that thick rope wrap around their prop and blow their
100,000%.
break their drive shaft. But yeah, no, that's
a good idea that's a good idea for me to pick up a few more of those marker buoys, because
I gotta find mine because there's some times this year where I would like to have them.
Now I want to acquire some real buoys out there and make my own no-go zone.
That's right. Do not no boats allowed.
You could put orange cones at the ramp, and no, I'm just
make
kidding.
sure you have primo parking. I feel the game wardens don't focus on checking those pleasure boaters and jet skis enough. Yeah, I mean, Jeff.
Yeah, actually, I have a story about that.
Good.
Yeah, so this was like 4 years ago, 4th of July. And Jeff knows, I live in Carolina Lakes, so our neighborhood, the Carolina Lakes, they do huge fireworks. 4th of July. So I go out there with my wife, before it's about an hour before the fireworks show, a little bit of daylight. I'm out there doing a little bit of fishing in one of the good spots. They had brought the game wardens out. It's only a private, like 400-acre lake. And I got checked for my fishing license, which, okay, I understand that. They were writing tickets who didn't have stickers on their kayak. But I didn't see them check a single time. Were the 50 boats out there that had about 20 people on them and were riding way too low in the water line, and they were, boozing up the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you're doing your job, you're checking my license, but you got 100 boats out here boozing, loaded down, and the only people you're checking are the people fishing or like in a kayak or something that probably aren't necessarily a big. So that was frustrating. That's my story. Behind that, I don't know what they're doing. I do know they only, in like North Carolina, I think there's only like 70 in the state. There's not a lot of them.
Yep.
Whatsoever. So like, they've got a hard job. They do a lot of great things. They on the Cape Fear River, when I saw them out there, they rolled some people up that needed to be rolled up, which was awesome.
Yeah. You know what's funny?
Stuff there, but,
I have never been checked by the game warden on one of our big major metropolitan lakes. The only place I've been checked by NC Fish and Wildlife
is the river.
Is the middle of nowhere Roanoke River.
Yeah.
Them jokers will roll up on you and be like, hey, and I'm like, what? Why? Like, why are you back here?
And you know what? Like, go ahead, Ben.
Well, yeah, mine I got checked that wasn't on the neighborhood at that time. Was on the Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Right below Jordan. That's where they were hanging out.
Yeah, if you see something illegal or unethical, such as littering on the land, or whatever, like, don't be afraid to call the game warden, because at least you're doing your part. I've called the game warden several times. I would much rather them patrol the parking lot so my catalytic converter doesn't get stolen. But I want to see them get out there and enforce stuff too. But like you said, Ben, there's very limited resources. I think there's one game warden for our area. No, Christine, I didn't say. I was
say he said buoys, not boobies,
not boobies. Marker buoys or marker floats or whatever you want to say. But these orange things right here, they got a piece of lead. They got a bunch of string attached to them. It's almost like 550 cord string. And then you just take that lead off and throw those in the water, and they'll sit there and flip around until that lead hits the bottom, and they just stay in the place. So it's not going to work in like 80 foot of water. What was that?
That was my phone, my real estate agent calling me, and I was connected to them.
But yeah, so these marker buoys might help you out a little bit.
Hey, Chelsea, if you're still on, can you call Terry and see what's up?
It's going to be a great episode for listening.
Yeah. Anybody listening, I'm sorry that the Mandalorian theme just blew your eardrums out. I forgot to put it in do not disturb mode. That was my fault. But yeah, marker buoys are great. Nick said he's been checked a couple times fishing with Mikey and once on Eufaula. I'm
in a Toyota tournament.
And do not disturb real quick.
Do not disturb, Pete. Do not disturb.
Sorry.
All right. So we talked about some live well management. We talked about dealing with pleasure boat or traffic. You just got to deal with it. That's really the way it is. What other questions did we have on there?
Those were the ones that we wanted to answer for this week.
That's right. Yeah.
So anybody listening has questions, now's the time to ask. Let's anybody, what do you guys got? Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
We talked a little bit about the tournament stuff at the beginning.
Yep. So Toyota Series, we talked about the Open on St. Clair. We talked about they're going to have a champion here within the next. They're probably crowning them here real soon with the MPFL. Looks like Patrick Walters is going to run away with that tournament, but we don't know. They just reset all the weights, didn't they?
They're still weighing in.
Oh yeah, they're weighing in right now. So Patrick Walters, he's extremely dominant. Won multiple times on the MPFL, multiple times on the Elite Series. So we'll see what happens with this one. But I do got to give a shout out to the Army guys. There's two Army dudes, John Branch and Josh Watkins, that fish the MPFL on behalf of the United States Army as a recruiting opportunity to get those young men and women who are looking for a way forward. It's a great platform for them to push that recruiting message into the armed forces, specifically the United States Army. John Branch is doing really, really well in this tournament, and it was needed for the Army's team. Josh is struggling a little bit, but hey, this is the third stop of the season for those guys. So hopefully he can figure some things out for the next three tournaments. But, good job to the Army outdoor team on this one.
Yeah, they're still way early in the weigh-in.
Yep.
We got plenty of time before anybody gets crowned there.
Yep.
But somebody, who was that? Michael Brewer had a 25-pound bag today. Put him up in the top 5 for right now. So that's a heck of a day.
Yep.
But yeah, good chance old P. Walt runs away with this one.
Yep.
So let me.
All right, Jeff. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right, see you, Jeff.
What's going on, Rodney? See you, Jeff. Hope we're coming out with more floating frames. I don't know, Nick. Maybe.
Well, they posted a teaser.
Did they today?
Yeah, for ICAST 2024. So
yeah, looks like some more floating frames. They might be.
Christine got her new Hobies in the mail.
I'll check it out.
I'm waiting to see.
Yeah, Ben, you're getting ready to head down there soon, right?
I'm waiting to see who wins that one. He's a hammer. Where's Seth sitting at? Seth was 40th today, I think.
Yeah, but Seth hasn't put anything into the score tracker or whatever.
Yep.
He was in the 30s or maybe he was in the 20s yesterday. I can't remember, but as long as he caught like a 16+ pound bag, he should definitely be well within check range.
Yeah, he's got a good shot today. So
all the North Carolina guys did pretty well in this tournament for the most part. So
Dave said fishing a small but deep water muddle puddle tomorrow for a club derby. Good luck tomorrow on that. We'll be again with the Take a Warrior fishing event.
I'll be at
Fuquay
Carowinds.
Arena. Yeah, Trey's going to Carowinds. Ben's traveling. Are you going to Florida tomorrow, Ben?
Yeah.
When do you leave it? You're going to go down tomorrow?
Yeah.
Nice. Yes, Ben will be down there for iCast. You can do some fishing. You're getting down there a couple days early.
Yeah. Well, a little change of play. I'm flying down now, so
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
smart move.
So 30.
Smart move.
Seth was 30th
Yeah.
today. He was 40th yesterday.
Are
So,
they-
yeah, he moved up some.
Are they still doing the tournament, the ICAST Cup tournament, that 4-hour derby?
Yeah. So that's Monday morning. I probably won't go to weighing because it's like 10 o'clock or whatever it is. But yeah, so that's Monday. Tuesday they'll have the on the water, and then there's some seminar stuff. And I don't remember if it's Tuesday or Wednesday is a new product reception. And obviously it starts Wednesday through Thursday. I'm Friday the rest of the week. So
Yeah, head on over to Missile and do your thing over at Missile because they got some pretty cool stuff coming out. Hey, I want to give a huge shout out real quick before we end the show to Heroes Harvest, the veteran nonprofit organization that I'm one of the fishing ambassadors for. They just got on with Aerial Resupply Coffee. I know that those guys pushed out their code to use. Christine, thank you for sharing that on your social media page. Aerial Resupply is a veteran-owned coffee company. I think the company's out of Virginia. So we're definitely going to try to get our hands on some of that coffee. So appreciate you sharing that. Congratulations to Heroes Harvest for that.
She got her coffee already.
There you
That
go.
was quick. No,
There you
get
go.
much quicker than that.
Let us know how it tastes. We're
Yeah.
definitely going to be ordering some.
Got to let us know how that is.
Yep.
If you have not entered
Yes.
our giveaway yet, we've got
Last chance.
one of the big ones. We got a bunch of good stuff. It's all been good, but last chance last month is coming up at the last Friday if we're live. Tim, we'll get to your question in 1 second, and it's going to be a quick one because we've talked that to death. If you have not entered, go to wherever it is you listen to our podcast. So whether it's Spotify, Apple, all of that, the recorded episodes, leave us a review, screenshot that, send it to us on social media, and we'll get you on the list for the giveaway. This month we have a jersey, which is being donated by FX3 Inc. And that jersey, you're going to be able to pick the logos that goes on it. The only logos that have to go on there are FX3 and our podcast logo, the OneCast. And then Mike Johns will get with you and get that hooked up. We've got a Carolina Waters prize pack. So our friends at Carolina Waters are going to hook you up with a hat and shirt. We've got this box full of jigs. So a Plano Edge box full of jigs. Those are OneCast Fishing jigs. Those are the old school jigs. So they're the hand tied with a weed guard, not the snagless. And I feel like there was something else, and I don't remember what it was.
I think we were donating personal stuff too.
No, that was last month. We got to send Christine a bunch of baits.
Oh yeah.
I'm going through stuff. Christine, you're gonna have more baits than you know what to do with. So
Yeah. Send us some baits, Christine.
we might throw some baits into this one too. Who knows? So
Yeah.
make sure you get entered. If you're not, you can also enter by subscribing to our YouTube. Just screenshot and send that to me. And that's either OneCast Fishing's YouTube or the OneCast, whichever one, or both, preferably both.
Yeah, both.
So Tim Trinity, this is going to be the last question we answer. Some of the older guys like Matt Herron and Bernie Schultz are pretty outspoken about forward-facing sonar being a problem today. What's your opinion on where this goes? Will it be limited to some tournaments and denied in others? My opinion is you either adapt or you die. Figuratively. So you've got guys that have been doing it forever that were riding the train of knowledge. Some new stuff came down. It cut the knowledge gap. They didn't take the time to learn it. Now they're getting their teeth kicked in. And rather than working hard and learning it, they're making excuses and trying to limit it. I do not think it'll be limited. As far as being eliminated, I think they may limit the number of transducers they can have or the number of graphs they can have on their boat. But to that point, Trey and I were watching a video from like the 1981 Bassmaster Classic today, and guess what was on? And all those boats were set up by BASS for their anglers, and guess how many graphs were on the boat? Three. They had 3 graphs on the boat in 1981. So it's been a thing for a long time. So I personally, and I'm not going to speak for Ben and Trey, although I think we're all pretty much on the same page. You're not going to see it go anywhere. They may limit screens or transducer numbers, but there's too much money, number one, and it doesn't make it easy. There's plenty of times I go out there and look at them on the screen and they don't eat. My advice to those old guys, and I might get burned in this, is work a little harder.
Ben, what do you got?
Yeah. I'm with Pete. Adapt or die. It's innovative. I mean,
Figuratively.
sonar's been around for decades. Well, no, literally, your career will die if you do not adapt and you don't get better. You will be out of this industry. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. And look, every industry goes through this. I say that now because I've gotten to the point where I've gotten tired of hearing all this negative commentary and stuff. This stuff's been around for almost 10 years. And it's because people, my opinion, people feel threatened. They're no longer comfortable. And they got comfortable being comfortable.
Sure.
And when you've been sleeping in satin sheets every night, it's hard to get up at 5 a.m. to go run 5 miles. Like that. I mean, that's the problem when you're like, that's the old statement about like Conor McGregor right now. I'm sure he got hurt and all, but like $600 million or whatever he made. It's hard to get up and compete and have that drive. Very few people do that when you're right. When you've been that successful and things change and you can't keep doing the same thing.
Yep.
It's hard to do it. So I think a lot of these guys will be out of the industry within like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. So here's my opinion. First and foremost, there already have been tournaments that have banned it or not allowed it, such as the TAA.
That's the only one.
And there's probably some club derbies and stuff out there that are not letting it or whatever the case may be. But I'll break it down like this. Forward-facing sonar, there's not enough data to show that it's hurting the fisheries. In fact, fish conservation and the catch, weigh, and release is actually having more of an impact on our fisheries than anything, such as stunning the growth and having too many bass to compete for less forage. There was a video that I think it was Tyler Real Fishing or something that just sat down and had an interview with a biologist or somebody down south. And they talked about that. No one's keeping bass anymore. So if you're really threatened about the conservation side of it, people need to start keeping and eating more bass, right? On the competitive side of it, if I'm a football player and I run a 4.40 and my competitor runs a 4.140, which is real fast, I think. I don't know. Super fast. I need to run faster. I need to run more. I need to work harder so that I can beat them down the field. Right. And that's the same thing. And if there was ever a sport, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And the thing is, if you put the work in and he still beats you,
he's just better.
He's just better.
I mean,
he's just better.
He's better.
And I'll say this, if there was ever a sport, out there that you want to do better at, it's a sport like competitive bass fishing where you're literally paying to play the game. No one's giving you that $600 million satin sheet contract where you can wake up in the morning and be lazy. You're literally asking companies, you're begging companies to pay for you to go live your quote unquote dream. So why the heck would you not want to be the best you can at it so that they'll continue paying your way? That's all I got to say.
And I think that's all we need to say on it. So appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Appreciate the questions. Appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. We will not be live on next Friday. Trey and I will be over at the river for a couple-day fun fishing trip. I got some family coming down. We're going to go see what we can do in Eastern North Carolina. Ben will be at ICAST, so we will be live the week after, and we'll have an ICAST recap somewhere in there, whether we record it or we do it live. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Either way, maybe we'll go live on like Wednesday night and talk about what we can talk about. Who knows? Keep an eye on socials. Join the giveaway if you haven't. Be kind to each other. Be good. We love y'all. Thank you so much for joining. Help us continue to grow a culture of anglers helping anglers, one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.